Hey folks, thanks for joining me on another video. Today I'm going to be showing you a new knife that I received in the mail today. It just came in. I just got home from work and it was waiting for me when I got here, so I want to open this up and show you. As you can see from the title, this is a Sebenza, Chris Reeves Sebenza, large model, and it is the Insingo. And this was actually a purchase from a fellow YouTube member who goes by the name Tropic EDC. Now, I've been subscribed to him for some time here on YouTube, and he hasn't made any new videos in a while. He just joined up on Instagram, and I recommend that you check him out on Instagram. I'll put the usernames and links in the description of this video. But definitely check out his YouTube channel. Even though he hasn't put up any new stuff in a while, he's still got some great collection videos. His collection is just all really high-end, high-quality knives, a lot of great folders. It blows my mind just how many cool and high-end folders he has, actually. And I found him on Instagram, and we began following each other, and he had posted up a knife sale, and he had a few knives up for sale, including this Sebenza Insingo, and that was how I got my hands on this knife. And let's see, let's fish out some of the packing material in here. And we'll take a look at it, and I'll chat some more about it. Here we are. Here's the box for the knife there. Now this will actually be my first time checking out or even holding. I have never actually even held or seen a Chris Reeves Sebenza in person ever. So this will be my first time. It's pretty exciting. Very eager to see how this works out. Comes with a little wrench in the box, or a little Allen wrench there, or hex wrench, so that you can take the knife apart. And you see there's sort of a birth certificate, as they call it, or birth card, July 26, 2011. And then inside there's also a sticker and some more literature, so that's pretty cool. Put that off to the side. And then the knife comes wrapped up in this nice microfiber cloth. And there you have it. I'll go ahead and open it. Beautiful blade. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever handled or seen one up close in person. I'm really excited to get this. Now, let me go back to what I was saying before, which is that I've been wanting to try a Chris Reeves Sebenza for some time, and I never really could decide on which configuration I wanted. Sometimes it seemed like it was too expensive. Most of the time it seemed like it was too expensive, and I could never really commit to just one knife. I kept trying to, instead of getting a Sebenza, I would always go after a couple other knives that, when you buy a couple knives together, it would end up being about the same price as one knife from Chris Reeve, but I just, for whatever reason, I never committed to it. So it's something I've put off, I never got around to buying one. And then Tropic EDC put up his video, and he put up a little sale ad there on Instagram, and I saw it, and his price was just absolutely exceptional. I'd never seen one sell for the price that he had this one listed, so I went ahead and jumped on it right away. I even, when I messaged him, when I commented on it, I even told him, is that price correct? That's just shockingly low, and if that is indeed the price, then absolutely I will take it. And he told me that indeed the price was correct, and so I had to have it. And so this is now officially, I guess, from a MSRP, from a retail standpoint, this is probably my most expensive knife, and it's definitely the most. Even though he gave me a phenomenal price on it, it's still the most I've paid for any knife in my collection at all. So I'm sure any of you that are watching this video have probably seen videos or photos of Sebenzas hundreds of times in the past, so this is probably nothing new to you, but for me this is pretty exciting. By the way, see that little mark on my thumb, that little bruise? I did that at work. I absolutely blew my thumb up. I hit it against a rock when I was wearing my work gloves, swinging my hammer at work. And so my last few videos, if you see that, it's not dirt or anything, it's actually a little bit of bruising underneath my thumbnail, and it's driving me crazy that it's there. It hurt pretty bad too. In fact, when it happened, I couldn't open my Zero Tolerance 550 the rest of the day because it was so sore in that little spot. It wasn't until the next afternoon that I was able to open that. There's a little side note for you. I do have a couple knives off to the side that I wanted to give some comparisons with this knife for anyone that's interested, and just for my own sake, because I am pretty interested in seeing how it compares size-wise. By the way, that opens really smooth. but not, I mean, it's not amazingly smooth compared to some of my other knives. I have some that are smoother. I'm really not going to know how I feel about the overall fit and finish, the tolerances of the knife, until I'm actually able to sit down on my own and really sort of examine it and see how it feels. But I just wanted to give a quick little glance to anyone that's interested. There's a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 next to it, pretty comparable both in handle length and in blade length, obviously a little bit shorter on the blade, but overall pretty similar. And this is another titanium handled knife, the Spyderco Techno. I thought I'd include that in there and have those ready to go for a quick size comparison. So one of the things I think I was going to mention before and I forgot is that the Sebenza comes in a very few different configurations. There is the Sebenza 21, which is the one that I think most folks are used to seeing, and I think this is indeed considered a Sebenza 21 model. There's also the Sebenza 25, which is a little bit newer. It has some slightly different elements to it. The handle's a little bit different. I think the blade thickness and the blade shape are a little bit different. And then there was the Insingo. Now, I'm not sure if this is still in production. I would guess that it is. And as you can see from the box, see that it has the knifeart.com logo there. At least initially, and again, I'm not super sure about now, the Sebenza Insingo was an exclusive knife from knifeart.com. And I don't know if that is still the case, but that's why you see that sticker on there. So this was more of a limited run of the Sebenza. This isn't as common as the other two that you see. And if you can see this, I don't know what you want to call it, a Wharncliffe or a sheep's foot, modified sheep's foot. I don't really like to refer to a knife as a Wharncliffe unless the blade is just completely flat. That's just my own personal preference. To me, a Wharncliffe has a very flat blade, but if you want to, you could say that was a modified Wharncliffe because of that kind of blunted, sloping, downward sloping nose to the blade there. And it's got a single thumb stud. It's a right-handed thumb stud. There's nothing on the other side, just the other side of the thumb stud. Idaho made in the handle. I guess the older Sebenza knives do not have that little stamp in them, so that's something that you'll find mostly on the newer Sebenzas, and I know some people really don't like that. Here's the lockup, and you can see it's pretty far over compared to most frame and liner locks, and I've heard that in general that's pretty common with Chris Reeve knives. Sometimes it's not quite as far over, but oftentimes it is, and I think Chris Reeve himself says that it's not, that's not a manufacturing flaw or a defect in any way, that in fact having that further over lockup is intentional. At least that's what I've heard. I'm really not up on the Sebenza or Chris Reeve nomenclature and the different model types, and there's a whole history to Chris Reeve knives. There's actually a wonderful factory tour of Chris Reeve knives on YouTube, and I imagine some of you have seen it. If you haven't, go ahead and look it up, and it's actually very interesting, and it gives a lot of insight into exactly how the knives are produced, but also talks about the tolerances and the quality, the fit and finish, and why the knives are the way that they are. It's got a good weight to it. It is the large blade, so it's got a decent heft to it, and I definitely wanted a large knife. Now, I had always been trying to decide, when I do go and get a Sebenza, was I going to get the Insingo blade or the traditional, more of a drop point blade? And I never could decide, and that was one of the reasons that I never got around to buying one, because that was just something I hadn't really nailed down yet. So getting this at a really great price, Tropic EDC basically made the decision for me. And I should also mention, he did tell me beforehand, he did state that it does not have the little lanyard pin nor the paracord lanyard, which to me is fine because I would have taken that off immediately anyway. I don't have any lanyards or fobs on any of my folding knives. I prefer to just have the knife clipped to my pocket and that's it. Absolutely beautiful knife though. Again, I'm not going to be able to explain all of the finer details. There are just thousands of videos, I imagine, on the Sebenza, so if you go on YouTube and look it up, you can see all sorts of information on why they cost what they do and why people like them. And this is new to me. This is totally new, and this is my first one, so I haven't made up my mind for myself yet just how I feel about it. But for the price that I paid, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's beautiful, and it's more or less perfect. I can see a few little rub marks in the handles, but that doesn't bother me in the slightest. This knife is going to get used. I have very few knives that I don't use, that I don't carry. There are some that the G10 is a certain color and I like to keep it clean, so I don't carry it with me to work, and I'm not going to carry it if I'm working in the yard. But most of my knives get carried pretty much, you know, at any given time. I don't have what people refer to as safe queens, and I don't have knives that I just buy just to keep, you know, as an investment or just to keep, you know, for whatever reason. I typically do not do that. I have a few knives that have some sentimental value, and those I may not carry, but this one's going to get carried, so don't have no fear. This isn't getting locked away in a box somewhere. This will go in my pocket and get used just like any of my other knives. That's it. I think this video has gone on for long enough. Just showing you my latest purchase here. It's got a really smooth opening. Now, Chris Reeves says that they prefer that you do not flick their knives open, and I am going to respect that. I know some people don't like that, and they flick their Sebenza open, you know, with a plumb, and I'm just not going to do that. I want to keep my warranty intact, and I will respect that they prefer the knife to be open slower. And lately, if you've watched any of my videos, I've mentioned that nowadays I don't flick my knives open as often as I used to. A lot of times I'll open them slower. It just depends on the knife and my mood. So there it is, the large 21 Sebenza with the Insingo blade. And again, this was a purchase made from Tropic EDC. I bought that from him. Great guy. He's got a great YouTube channel. I'd like to see more videos, but go check him out. He still has almost 100 videos up, and his collection is it's just phenomenal. He has so many beautiful knives, a ton of titanium folders, a mind-blowing Spyderco collection, all sorts of Kershaw blurs, all different variations. He's got a Wicked Edge video up, some EDC videos, just good stuff. So please check him out on YouTube, and also find him on Instagram, Tropic EDC on Instagram as well. I think that's where he's kind of shifted his focus. He's mentioned that it's a little bit easier and a little bit faster to put content up on Instagram without having to hassle with recording the video and trying to find a quiet time, and I can sympathize with that completely, because for me it's very difficult to find time during the week that the house is quiet, that I've got good lighting, that I can sit down and make a video and not be interrupted, and then to also spend several hours. For those of you who don't put up YouTube videos, a lot of times, especially if you're recording in HD, and depending on the speed of your computer, it can take hours and hours to put up one video on YouTube. So it takes a bit of time and a little bit of work, and I just don't always have that time available. So I understand completely when he says that he's mostly gravitated towards Instagram, as it's a little bit more instant gratification in terms of knife content. So check him out. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for listening to my constant blabbing and rambling like usual. And expect to see this knife more on my Instagram feed and also on my YouTube channel. Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye.